Hi there, good morning and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning into the Breakfast Club. I'm Kritsween Walia.
And I'm Hem Kaur Suraya. We have lots of interesting discussions lined up for you this morning. Let's get started with what we're going to be focusing on the Breakfast Club this morning.
First, we talk about what really happens inside the brain when loneliness sets in and why social rejection can feel far more intense than we admit. We'll go over to our experts for neuroscience and a psycho analysis on what really this means for your brain, whether or not your brain can actually get rewired given how it is feeling emotionally.
Also coming up, a young swimmer from Assam draws attention after a demanding open water attempt off Mumbai's coast. What really happened in the Arabian Sea and why has this swim everyone talking? That story right after a very short break that we'll be taking on at the Breakfast Club this morning.
And then we'll be moving over to a tragic incident, an air ambulance that crashed in Jharkhand, Samaria. All 7 on board killed. We'll get you a ground report in just a bit.
Loneliness is often seen as an emotion, but neuroscience shows the brain treats it as a signal that something about connection feels off. When people feel excluded or disconnected, stress and threat responses can quietly rise beneath the surface.
In fact, research suggests social rejection activates distress-related brain regions, making loneliness feel intense even without physical isolation.
Now, the brain is constantly predicting social outcomes. When expectations do not match reality, emotional discomfort increases and rumination can follow.
Constant comparison makes it worse, especially through highly visible social spaces. It can pull attention inward and amplify self-evaluation. But the brain is not stuck this way.
Consistent, of course, a connection, emotional safety and meaningful interaction can help rebuild a sense of balance.
The questions we're asking though today, can prolonged loneliness put the brain in constant stress? What does that do to your emotional regulation? How is this kind of an emotion really rewiring your brain? So let's bring in our guest this morning. Kumar Bagrodia, founder and lead neuroscientist at NeuroLeap, is our first guest this morning, along with Dr. Sachin Balega, consultant psychiatrist and advisor, neuromodulation program at Fortis Hospital. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us. Mr. Bagrodia, you've also penned your thoughts on this. You've gone through a couple of studies, put the research together, and you've said loneliness is not just an emotion. You've brought in the neuroscience perspective to the entire story. So tell us, when someone feels lonely, what exactly is happening inside their brain? Is their brain actually experiencing pain?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. Loneliness is not just an emotion. It's a state of the brain. And in brain scans, you can actually see that loneliness activates the same threat networks as if the person is experiencing a physical danger. And hence what it does is your brain starts reading isolation as a survival risk. Your amygdala and the stress networks in the brain become hyper alert. And over a period of time, if you are chronically lonely, it raises your cortisol, your stress hormones, which can then affect your sleep, your mood, leading to things like depression, lower immunity, weight gain or weight loss, or just bad metabolism. So loneliness by itself is increasingly being viewed as an epidemic of sorts.
Dr. Balega, if I could just come to you on that as well. There's been a lot of conversation about what happens to our nervous system when it's in a constant state of threat or perceived threat and stress. When we link these two, as Mr. Bagrodia said, that loneliness perhaps is read in the body as physical threat. What does that constant exposure or constant state do to our nervous system?
Yeah, very rightly said. First of all, thank you for having me here. So, the one important thing that science has repeatedly shown is that emotional pain and physical pain is actually perceived very similarly by the brain. So, when a person says that even in loneliness is a part of depression, when a person says that I feel hurt, that hurt is actually experienced very similar to a physical pain. The process that happens is actually similar to a physical pain. So, one thing that does happen, Sir suggested, is there is a stress-related response system that gets triggered in the body because loneliness is perceived as a threat for survival. Because humans are social creatures. So when there's a threat for survival that is being perceived, our body reacts to save ourselves. So that is when not only from a physical perspective, we experience stress hormone related changes where our heart rate is on the higher side, our blood pressure is on the higher side, our blood sugar levels increase because we need energy to protect ourselves. We might tend to overeat, or even if we are eating normally, store a lot of calories. So there are a lot of physical changes that will happen as a result, and temporary stress can be understood because that will help us to go through the ongoing situation in life. But something like this, when it continues for a very long time, it can eat up your body's defenses and make you more prone towards infections, heart issues. Now, the more problematic part is the emotional part here, because threat perception and threat survival mode will also make you experience danger everywhere. That causes loneliness to become a self-propagating cycle. So, you see a bunch of people talking, you will feel, oh, I think they are talking about me. I don't feel like really going and talking to them. I send a message to somebody and someone is not responding to me for a couple of hours. Maybe that person is ignoring me.
So it's just
Maybe
this constant loop that you find yourself in.
Yes. So that's the problem that happens even in depression, where I don't feel like going outside. So I don't go. I feel more lonely. I feel more lonely. I don't feel motivated to go out, and the loop is thus created. So that's where a lot of times this chronic cycle just propagates.
So you actually reach a point where loneliness, from being just an emotion starts becoming a mental health problem, and that's where intervention is needed. That's where you need medical help, you need guided advice. So there is a clear shift that people need to be able to differentiate, and that's why this conversation possibly will help. Mr. Bagrodia, let's talk about what we see on social media. Right? We see an escalated form of expressing love. Valentine's Day wasn't too long ago. When you see that form of market-amplified romance, what does it do to your brain? You've spoken about it, so elaborate a little bit on that. And why can it really be counterproductive in today's day and age?
Right. One of the other problems around loneliness is our brain's ability to compare our situation with the rest of the world. And today the rest of the world is available to you on your mobile phone. So for example, in a Valentine's Day or any other significant day, we are almost being forced to engage in commercialized rituals which are supposed to be romantic. We are almost forced to follow this form of market-amplified romance. And not everyone could be in the frame of mind to do it. It might not be financially supportive. It might not be physically possible to engage in that all the time, year after year or month after month, depending on what that ritual is. And it also gives huge repercussions to various brain networks. So the insula, the anterior cingulate cortex, and the medial prefrontal cortex, when there's real bonding, which is secure, it feels warm. But when that attachment is absent and you're only following the market amplified sort of rituals or the commercial rituals, then you actually feel a bit threatened or disrupted. And then it can amplify the feeling of exclusion. And that's when loneliness and isolation sets in, even though you might not be physically isolated, but internally you can feel rejected, excluded, isolated. And that's my problem with some of these commercialized rituals of what they think is bonding, but actually it is just commerce which is trying to take over romance and push it down our throats in a certain manner.
Commerce is one part of the story, Dr. Balega. The other part of the story is how you're confusing possibly your communication at all possible times in the day with genuine emotional connections, right? So in this day and age, with the kind of social media exposure that everyone has, that's the confusion. That's where the confusion really lies. Now, we are living a life where we're more connected than ever, but yet most of the people out there are feeling lonely. Don't you think that's another complicated part to the story?
Yeah. No, that's where the social media is a very two-pronged kind of a situation, a double-edged sword kind of a situation, where you have complete access all the time. You doom scroll and spend hours watching something, but at the end you might not only get lonelier, but one important thing about loneliness is that it's different from being alone. Loneliness is a disparity between what is the perceived need and what is available with me. So a lot of times loneliness has that psychological component of what my expectations have been created because of social media. The kind of things I see couples do, or romantic partners do, people engage in, putting photos of their hands held together. So what happens is the perceived need there can get quite intensified. And as a result, even though the circumstances might not really warrant it, it might create an increased sense of isolation and a need that, I don't have this. You'll be surprised how often we get to see individuals who will come to us with depression that might get triggered when their sibling gets married. And they feel, I have to find a partner. Why am I not able to find a partner? How much time will I take? Will I find the same one? So that pressure that gets created is I think half the game, because of which social media can do more wrong.
Not everyone's love language is the same, right? So you end up setting that expectation onto your partner, and you start thinking that if I am not being treated the same way, this person possibly doesn't love me, which is very misleading in itself.
Right, and in fact, Dr. Balega, if I could just come to you on that as well, when we talk about social media exposure as well, there's a lot of hacks which are available also, a lot of medical or mental health advice that one may be exposed to as well. Neuroplasticity seems to have become the buzzword, where many would claim that you can actually rewire your brain. Do you think that's true, and do you think that has anything to do with breaking away from these patterns of feeling lonely, consuming this content, that making you feel some type of way, and that loop continuing?
Absolutely. So the older adage that your brain tends to develop till you're 25 or something, and beyond that there is no development, is actually a very false thing, because in the last couple of decades we know quite well that every single thing you do and you experience on a day-to-day basis tends to train your brain and develop new synapses, develop new connections, such that it learns and kind of proceed ahead. Now this thing holds true in either directions. So that's why somebody who is engaging in social media a lot might, in the bad direction, develop that as a way of handling negative emotions. So I doom scroll when I feel lonely. On the other hand, it can also be used to develop meaningful conversations, where I join clubs, I join groups, where I can reach out to people, have meaningful conversations. Thereby, it makes me feel less lonely and more attached to people.
And a lot of people actually struggle with expressing emotional needs, I think, and that's another problem. This conversation is so layered. That's what makes it so very interesting too. Dr. Bagrodia, Mr. Bagrodia, I also want to understand from you what your thoughts are on what can be done then. So let's look at what should a person who's dealing with this, who's feeling really low, who's possibly feeling lonely, how can they recover their brain from this feeling? So what actually helps rewire the brain towards better connection and possibly emotional safety as well?
Absolutely. Loneliness is one of the sort of easier things to tackle in the mental health spectrum, if you will. One, of course, is the obvious, is to go out and engage in activities within groups, whether small or large, where you find a common thread of liking or of tastes. So whether it is music, whether it is playing a sport, whether it is even watching and being part of a, sporting spectacle. And that's one of the reasons you will find that live entertainment and live sports are growing. It's booming in India because people find that sense of camaraderie, sense of belonging within that larger purpose. The second part is to biologically tackle loneliness, which is go out in the sun, get enough morning sunlight, be with nature. Surprisingly, even when people are alone, but they are amidst nature, the effects or the negative effects of loneliness are not that pronounced. So being in a forest, being amidst lush greenery or on the beach side are very helpful. The third one I would say is cultural. Being part of a community, which could be one from your, let's say, alumni networks or areas you've grown up in, they can add a sense of nostalgia. They can add a sense of shared and collective history, which is very, very powerful for the individual. Where even if you've not known people for very long and you don't have strong bonds with them individually, but because you're part of this larger network, there is a sense of belonging and a sense of oneness. So I'd say all of these things are very helpful.
Right. Dr. Palika, I want to come to you on that as well. It may not be, when we talk about love language, when we talk about expression of emotion, it may not be very easy for some older adults now who are experiencing loneliness to connect and find a sense of community. How do you think this can be inculcated at an earlier age? Perhaps developing loneliness and the feeling of loneliness also has something to do with how a child has learned how to conduct themselves in social groups, how to manage social disagreements within their community, with friends. Do you think that has an impact? It's something that can be inculcated early on so that a child is better prepared to then deal with such emotions later in life?
Yeah, so early warning signs. What are those early warning signs that people must latch on to so that they're not sort of letting loneliness get to a mental health space?
Right, and also if there is perceived threat,
Yeah.
how can one better regulate their emotion to then deal with it?
Oh, that's a lot of thing to
But we
talk
don't
about.
have too much time, so we'll need you to answer this in 30 seconds.
One thing I'll tell you, I think there are two questions. One is related to approach towards prevention and one is what to do now. I will talk, I just say a couple of lines on what to do now. I think one important thing that comes from a psychological point of view, which adds to what Bagdodia sir just spoke of, is that a lot of times as a part of loneliness, even though you know you are supposed to do these things, you don't feel like. The motivation is not there. So many times this is where we talk with individuals about breaking down that same situation or that same thing into multiple pieces, where who have to go and talk to one person. It seems practically impossible for me. Or go and, join some group. So a lot of times what we say is when you have a group of people that are talking, you don't need to go and talk, be around them. So what happens with loneliness and that perceived rejection is there is a biased interpretation that forms right before you have even done the task, where you feel, oh, it's not going to work out, there's no point to it, it's not going to happen anyway. So what we tell people is that instead of, we tend to wait for that feeling to do that task, but the opposite can also hold true, where even if you don't feel like and you engage in it, you might actually see at the end of it that, oh, it's not as bad as I thought, which gives that feedback to your brain and which rewires it to give it a chance another time. And that's how, you can slowly and stepwise kind of a way bring yourself out of it. From a preventive perspective, I think what becomes extremely important for the younger generation, and it's a good opportunity for me to discuss here when I am live on a show like this, is exposure to social media and perceived expectations, and what are the social expectations and what is the reality. Somewhere that reality check and that comparison and competition comes from a very young age. I mean, I can give you examples of kids these days who will send you friend requests on LinkedIn when they are in 6th standard, 7th standard. So, there is so much of societal pressure and comparison where a particular group you have to belong to, a particular internship you have to do, a particular place you have to reach.
I think
So,
this
somewhere it will be.
hyperactivity is partly to be blamed for where people's minds are at and how over-connectivity is also sort of leading to
Yeah.
isolation, because you're not being able to really place yourself in any of the domains and you're kind of feeling isolated at all times. Very quickly, Mr. Bagrodia, we need to wrap up. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about loneliness and from a neuroscience perspective?
So one of the biggest misconceptions that people have is that if they keep a very busy social calendar and they're always at social gatherings or going out with friends or family for vacations or partying or clubbing or even at sporting events or cultural events, and if they keep busy with people around them, even if they are with people who they have close bonds with, they will not feel lonely. That's a gross misconception. People can be married yet lonely. People can be with partners yet lonely. People can be in an intimate group of friends all the time and yet feel lonely. So loneliness, whilst, like I said, it is circumstantial in terms of your environment and people around you and the activities you're engaging in, it's also cultural, it's also biological, and it's relational to what you view in your stage of life as bonding, to what you view or what your brain seeks in that stage of evolution of your life. Are you seeking just connection with one person right now? Are you really seeking to be with this larger group of people? Or are you not seeking connection in that moment, but it is a time for a bit of an inward journey where you need to rediscover your own strengths or catch like a second wind? So it's very, very contextual, very, very specific, and I dare say bio-individual on whether you'll be feeling lonely or not.
Is what you were just talking about, that being lonely and feeling alone is very different. These are two different things. We end up confusing it. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this morning with your lovely thoughts and insights. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
With that, we shift our focus to Mumbai's coastline turning into something which saw a rare open water challenge. 7-year-old swimmer Kushengan Foucault from Assam attempted a long sea swim near the Gateway of India and became the youngest person ever to achieve this feat.
Battling tides, changing currents and unpredictability of the Arabian Sea, she stayed focused through hours in open water before reaching the finish point. Joining us now, young open water swimmer Kushengan Foucault and her father, who has been right there through the preparation and the big day in Mumbai. Thank you so much for joining us on The Breakfast Club. All right, let's begin by asking, what does your name mean?
My meaning is greatest diamond in the world.
Yeah, so her Q Cheng Han is actually made of 3 small words, Q Cheng Han. So we wanted to give her one unique name, which shows that girl can be beautiful and brave at the same time. So it's Q Cheng Han, meaning one brave gem of the world. So we interpret as the bravest diamond in the world.
Lovely. That's got a lovely meaning to it. Kushengan, we'll talk to your father. Let's ask him, when did you, sir, first hear about the Elephanta to Gateway swim? What is it that as a parent led you to ensure that, why not? Why should my daughter not try this one out?
Honestly, she started swimming last year only. That time, I put her in the swimming pool just to be confident that my daughter knows swimming, and when she goes near water, we shouldn't be scared. That's it. That's the only option. So she learned for 3 months that year. Then last year, we put her in one bigger swimming pool. That coach then he only took initiative. We didn't even think of Elephanta to Gateway till last month. So 3 weeks back only he suddenly told it.
All right. Now also, so how long, so you said this was not too long before this entire swim was undertaken, but how long did she have to train specifically for this particular channel, and what did normal training day look like for you?
How many hours you train, tell?
I train 2-3 hours, and sometimes I practice 6 hours.
So normally she trains for 2-3 hours every day, and for last 1 week, 2-3 times she did 6 hours swimming.
Okay. Sir, if you can also maybe tell us, you know, she would have shared her entire experience through that swim. What was the hardest moment for those few kilometers she was in the water? Surely wasn't easy. Has she shared more?
For us, like looking our daughter swimming in the water near those ferries running, because her swimming was in the afternoon, not in the first half. So the ferries to Elephanta had already been running, so many ferries.
Yeah.
So it was little scary that part, but since we were nearby, and also if you ask me about her, she doesn't yet understand what she did. Just day before yesterday, she asked me, Papa, why do people swim? I asked, what's the question? So she knows that I did swimming from Elephanta to Gateway. So like this, many people also do. But why do people do all these things? So I am speechless. So for her, too, it's totally different world. She's yet to understand what she did.
All right. And did you know how difficult and long this route was going to be? Because as you mentioned, there were ferries there as well. I can only imagine how scary that must have been before she entered the sea.
Look, the assessment was done by coach. He checked her timing before in the swimming pool, and he made her swim for 6 hours twice in the pool, continuously without any rest or any water break. So that time he assessed, we also calculated, we thought it would take 7 hours. So I was worried if it becomes very dark, how will she swim? But then the currents were also in our favor. So, and she was doing easily. So 4 hours is okay with her. And also, she was practicing in the Brahmaputra river also.
Okay, sir, people are also calling this historic and record breaking in so many ways. What does this achievement mean to you, to her, and to the entire family?
Honestly, I always wanted to give my daughter some platform, but not so much attention, of course. Anyway, which she can be proud later on. So far, she doesn't even understand what's happening. So it's historic, of course. So when I Google her name, I see so many feeds. So I'm, of course, very happy, very, very happy. But the thing is that to keep the momentum is worry for us at this moment. So let's see. Let's hope for the best.
All right, and we're going to wish them all the best for all their future endeavors as well. And with that, we're going to slip into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. Lots lined up for you on the other side as well.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Shifting focus to the big story of the day, an air ambulance carrying 7 people crashed in Jharkhand's Chatra district last evening. Now, the Beechcraft C-90 operated by Redbird Airways took off from Ranchi at around 7:11 p.m. but lost radar contact just 23 meters into the flight southeast of Varanasi. Now, on board were 2 pilots, a doctor, a paramedic, 2 attendants and a 41-year-old patient with severe burn injuries being flown to Delhi for his further advanced treatment. Now, search and rescue teams from the district administration reached the site while the AAIB has dispatched investigators. Now, the DGCA says further details will follow, but the crash has now raised urgent questions about safety protocols in the medical evaluation flights. Here are some of the reactions.
Actually, we got the information around 10 o'clock that one plane has crashed in our area, but we were not very much sure. So with the time we got the information from the villagers that accident has happened, and our team has rushed to the spot. And rushing the spot was a bit difficult, reason being considering the terrain, it's a quite difficult patch. Delhi team will come for the investigation purpose, and they will do the investigation and they will try to recover the black box and they do their own work. And till that time, we have to protect this area, so we have deployed large number of forces over here, and we'll keep this PO protected. Total number of that 7.
ड्यू टू थंडर स्टॉर्म, तो जैसे हम लोगों को इन्फॉर्मेशन पता चला, हम लोग मेडिकल टीम के साथ जो है रश किए यहाँ पे, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली डॉक्टर्स का टीम उन्होंने फाउंड डेड डिक्लेयर किया, तो हम लोगों ने उनका बॉडीज को निकाल करके पोस्टमार्टम के लिए और फर्दर इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए भेजे। टोटल 7 लोग हैं,
इसमें क्रू मेंबर भी हैं
टोटल 2 क्रू मेंबर्स हैं और बाकी 5 लोग जो है पेशेंट्स और पेशेंट के परिवार के लोग हैं। बाकी डिटेल्स जो है वो हम लोग खोजने के लिए जो है व्यवस्था कर रहे हैं।
कुल अगर बात करें तो चतरा का ये कसियातू गांव के पास मौजूद जंगल है, जहां पर ये भीषण जो विमान हादसा है वो हुआ है। ये रेडबर्ड एयरवेज का जो एयर एम्बुलेंस है वो दिल्ली जा रहा था। बता दें कि संजय कुमार जो कि मरीज थे वो अपने जो 2 अटेंडेंट, जिसमें एक महिला भी थी और एक पुरुष के साथ साथ 2 क्रू मेंबर और साथ में एक मेडिकल स्टाफ और एक डॉक्टर थे, वो मौजूद थे। और ये विमान जब इस वक्त इस जंगल से के ऊपर से गुजर रहा था, उसी वक्त मौसम भी खराब था। उसी दरमियान जो ये विमान है वो अचानक से नीचे आने लगा, जो कि ग्रामीणों का भी कहना है, और उसके बाद एक तेज धमाके की आवाज होती है। पूरा जो विमान होता है वो यहीं पर आकर धराशायी हो जाता है। जिस तरह से छत विछत विमान है वो नजर आ रहा है, तो इससे अंदाजा यही लगाया जा सकता है कि ये हादसा जो है वो काफी भीषण है। तो पूरे मामले को लेकर अब जो है प्रशासन की टीम भी मौके पर मौजूद है। तमाम शवों को यहाँ से निकाला गया है। सभी शव जो हैं वो पोस्टमार्टम के लिए चतरा अस्पताल में भेजे गए हैं। फिलहाल अगर बात की जाए तो जो एसएसबी की टीम है वो पूरे क्षेत्र को कॉर्डन ऑफ कर चुकी है, ताकि कोई भी लोग जो है वो विमान के आसपास न जा सके, और पूरा इलाका जो है वो इसे कॉर्डन ऑफ किया गया। वहीं बता दें कि जो माचिस या फिर कोई भी ज्वलनशील पदार्थ जो है उसे जलाने की मनाही की गई है, क्योंकि अभी भी जो इसका फ्यूल है वो चारों तरफ बिखरा हुआ है। तो ऐसे में आग लगने की भी संभावना से इनकार नहीं किया जा सकता, जिसे देखते हुए पूरा एहतियात जो है वो बरता जा रहा है। काफी तेज धमाके की आवाज आई थी, क्या कुछ हुआ?
आवाज बहुत कस के आई थी। जो 7 बज के कुछ 27-28 मिनट में पता चला कि
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, here's the latest that we're tracking for you at this point, getting inside details of DMK-Congress seat sharing talks as well. Congress sources have informed that discussions between senior Congress leader K.C. Venugopal and Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin primarily focused on seat sharing arrangements for the upcoming assembly elections.
As per sources, we're learning that the Congress has formally sought 45 seats in the alliance, which is a bigger share than 2021. So this is the demand that's been put forth by the Congress, is what we're learning. This is the meeting that took place between K.C. Venugopal and DMK chief and Chief Minister M.K. Stalin in Chennai. These are some of the inside details now trickling in. 45 seats as per sources in the Congress that have been sought by the party. The Congress has demanded 15 seats where the DMK lost in 2021. 15 of the 40 seats that the DMK lost in 2021 is what the Congress is eyeing. Inside details of the Congress DMK seat sharing talks. Do remember there was a point, we do remember how the alliance was almost seen collapsing in the state, and so for sure this is a certain positive outcome post the meeting. We've seen seat sharing talks resume, but this is a big share being sought by the Congress.
Right, and we do know that as much as they've been trying to put up a united front, there have been cracks which have been unmissable and hard to ignore at this point. However, though, these are the inside details that we're getting right now over the DMK-Congress seat-sharing talks, where Congress sources have informed us that the discussions between senior Congress leader K.C. Venugopal and Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin have primarily, of course, focused on seat-sharing arrangements. We're going to see a lot more discussions around that going forward as well for the upcoming assembly elections. So the Congress has formally sought 45 seats in the alliance. Remember, earlier the Congress had said that they are asking for a share, they are asking for their due respect in the state, and right now we know that the Congress has formally sought 45 seats in the alliance.
CNN News 18's Pallavi Ghosh joins us with more. Pallavi, that's a big share, 45, certainly an uptick from 2021 and what the demands back in the day were of the Congress party. Interestingly, 15 of these seats that the Congress is eyeing are from the 40 seats the DMK lost in 2021. Give us a quick breakup of what you're learning as per sources in the Congress.
So, Christine, it's very clear that the Congress is not backing off, and the Congress, for some reason, thinks that they can also a little bit call the shots. So, yesterday, the first round of meeting took place between Mr. K.C., that's the day before, between K.C. Venugopal and, of course, M.K. Stalin. At that meeting, K.C. Venugopal made the point very clear that, we want this alliance to continue, but also there are certain concerns and ambitions of our own party workers, which ideally should be addressed. No talk of participation in government formation was taken place because the Congress wants a clarity on seat sharing. This was followed up with a panel meeting, which is consisting of the state in charge, Girish, plus, of course, Kanimori. It was there that pitch was made that at least 45 seats the Congress should be contesting on. And among the 45 seats that they're asking for, at least 40 are those which the DMK has not won. And now that the entire permutation is changing, with the BJP playing a critical role, tying up with EPS, OPS, therefore, in that context, the Congress's argument was that of the 40 seats which the DMK lost, at least 15 of those are those on which the Congress can fight against the BJP combine and can win. So give us those 15 seats as well.
Right, Pallavi, that being said, going forward, how do you see things panning out? Of course, it's a crucial year. We've seen the cracks emerge. That's something that's hardly news at this point. But going forward, what are we likely to see?
See, even the DMK is under a little bit of a pressure because the DMK also has to deal with the Vijay factor. So it's not going to be an easy election for them, though, of course, they are very confident. I would see a meeting of two grounds. I think there could be a scale down from both the sides. Possibly the DMK is going to give a little bit more to the Congress than what it got last time round. The Congress will obviously come down from 45. When you begin bargaining, you bargain at a high pitch and then you start coming down. That is what is going to happen between the two sides.
Many thanks, Pallavi, for joining us with all those details. It's a story that's going to see development on an everyday basis. So we're all geared up for now, shifting our focus to more breaking news coming in on being asked if she will start her political party, her own party. Expelled AIDMK leader V.K. Sasikala has dropped a big hint. She says good news will come soon. Listen in.
நிகழ்ச்சி இருக்கு அம்மா பிறந்த நாள் நிகழ்ச்சி நடத்துறோம் நல்ல செய்தி வரும்
All right, so this is the perceived big hint on being asked if Sasikala will be beginning her own political party. Expelled AIADMK leader, remember V.K. Sasikala. This is being seen as the biggest hint yet, saying that good news will follow soon. So that is the big update that we are bringing for you right now. So there is an expectation that sometime this year, coinciding, of course, the move will follow a formation of a political party of the expelled DMK leader.
And this
VK
reaction
Sasikala.
coming in on Jayalalitha's birth
Right.
anniversary. So it's a big hint that's been dropped by VK Sasikala. But do remember that this comes on the back of the constant disagreements with TTV Dinakaran, and also how this could represent a break from not just TTV Dinakaran, also the ADMK. And she's clearly been sidelined, and this just could be her strategy going forward. Whether it's too late already because we're in election year in Tamil Nadu remains to be seen. We'll be going over to our reporter in just a bit. But on the occasion of Jayalalitha's birth anniversary, expelled ADMK leader dropping this huge hint of how good news may come soon. There were a lot of reports saying that perhaps this announcement could come in today itself.
Right, absolutely. And of course, if we were to just look back at the consultations that she's also been holding, there was a lot of talk around perhaps her reviving an older party as well, or some sort of a coalition there. But this is the biggest hint yet, where she says that good news will follow soon. On being asked about the formation of a new party, she has said that there will be good news soon and that they should wait for that. Now, this move largely, of course, being seen as some sort of a last-ditch effort, Kritsween, to re-enter active politics, of course, ahead of this crucial poll year as well.
Okay, let's hear it from her. The big message that's coming from VK Sasikala on how this plan is pretty much on board, and good news, she says, will come soon, which is a big hint in itself. Listen in.
நிகழ்ச்சி இருக்கு அம்மா பிறந்த நாள் நிகழ்ச்சி நடத்துறோம் அதுல நல்ல செய்தி வரும்.
Of course, as we mentioned earlier, this coincides with the birth anniversary of Jayalalitha as well, and that's why this whole such symbolism and meaning as well, where Sasikala says that expect good news soon. This was on a question on her being asked if she will be starting her own political party. She has said that there will be good news soon. So this move follows, of course, disagreements earlier that we've seen. There have been a lot of hectic parleys as well, and consultations with supporters. And there were a lot of talks around whether or not there will be a new party, or if we were to see some sort of a revival here. There she has given the biggest hint yet, saying that there will be good news soon. How that manifests on ground in this crucial poll year, that's something that remains to be seen.
Purnima Murli joins us with more details. Purnima, once the ADMK Acting General Secretary, close aide to former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha as well, was expelled from the party, there's been too many ups and downs for VK Sasikala, and clearly, as of today, sidelined by TTV Dinakaran, by ADMK. What are the plans that her supporters are speaking of? Could we expect a formal announcement soon?
Well, Sasikala has been meeting with her loyal, exploring options because Edapadi Palanisamy made it clear that there's no place for either Sasikala or O. Pannirselvam to be re-inducted back into the party. And therefore, Sasikala has been conducting meetings. Today is the 24th of February, and today is when she is officially going to announce her next course of action. There's been speculation on whether she will be starting her own party or whether she will be joining hands with her relative who started his own party. So all eyes on the next course of action by VK Sasikala. So she's going to hold a rally and then make that announcement. All eyes on what she has to say, and this is going to take place in Madurai later this evening.
Right, of course, as you mentioned, Purnima, all eyes on what happens next. Do stay on with us. More information that we're getting right now following the row over sexist remarks. Congress MP Jyoti Mani has slammed the Tamil Nadu police, saying they deliberately failed to arrest BJP district president and instead indirectly facilitated him securing anticipatory bail, and that the police are functioning as a puppet of the BJP.
Purnima continues to stay on with us. Purnima, it's been a while since this remark was first made, ever since there's been a lot of back and forth between the Congress and the BJP over the same, and now, of course, the blame being pinned onto the BJP and also the police to an extent. How is this playing out? What's the latest that you can share with us?
Well, Jyotimani and the Congress had earlier filed a complaint against the Karur BJP secretary who had who had made derogatory remarks against the Congress MP Jyotimani, and this during a public gathering in Karur. The Congress had filed a police complaint. A case has been registered, but no action has been taken. And now Jyotimani has reacted to that and hits out at the Tamil Nadu police and says that no FIR has been taken against the BJP leader, and says that the functioning of Karur police is shameful as no action has been taken. Clearly not happy with the way the investigation has progressed as far as the Congress complaint is concerned.
All right, Poonama, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on that.
And there's more breaking news coming in. The Congress in Kerala taking a dig at Union Minister Suresh Gopi over the updated voters list published in the state. As per the SIR indicating he has cast his vote from two different places. The Congress alleged that the lone BJP Lok Sabha MP from the state has been included as a voter in a polling station at Guruvayur in his constituency. First up, let's listen into the big allegation coming in.
ഒരു ജനാധിപത്യത്തിൻ്റെ അന്തസ്സ് കാത്ത് സംരക്ഷിക്കാത്ത രീതിയിലാണ് ശ്രീ സുരേഷ് ഗോപി വോട്ടർ പട്ടികയിൽ പേര് ചേർത്തത്. ഇതൊരു കുട്ടിക്കളിയായിട്ടാണ് അദ്ദേഹം കാണുന്നതെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അദ്ദേഹത്തിനെ തിരുത്താൻ ഭാരതീയ ജനതാ പാർട്ടി തയ്യാറാകണമെന്നാണ് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഈ കാര്യത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് പറയാം. അവസരത്തിനൊത്ത് കാര്യങ്ങൾ സാധിക്കുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടി നിയമത്തിൽ പഴുതുണ്ട് എന്ന് വ്യാഖ്യാനിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഇത്തരം പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ ജനാധിപത്യത്തിന് ഭൂഷണമല്ല.
Neetu Raghukumar joins us with more details. Good morning, Neetu. What can you tell us about these claims being made by the Congress? Any official word that's coming from the Election Commission? Do we still know, what really had transpired on ground?
Good morning. Actually, this Suresh Gobi's name in the voters list, even when he shifted to Thrissur constituency, it had become a huge issue because after Suresh Gobi's win from Thrissur Lok Sabha constituency, there has been talks about votes being added to the Thrissur constituency in a widespread way by the BJP, saying that using or trying to say that there are loopholes in the law. More votes from nearby constituencies have been added. So this was an allegation that has been made by the left as well as the Congress at that time. Now, after Suresh Gobi has voted in Thrissur constituency during his Lok Sabha stint, and that is the time he won as the MP, and after that there was a local body elections which was held in December 2025, and during the local body elections Suresh Gobi had voted from Thiruvananthapuram. Earlier his vote was in Thiruvananthapuram. Now these are two lists because in the state for the local bodies, it is a list from the State Election Commission. So that was the explanation that was given at that time. But now this is again cropped up with the Congress raising this because within a year in 2024, it was in Thrissur constituency, and now during the SIR process, though from Thrissur district, his vote has been added to the Guruvayur constituency. So that is something which the Congress has been raising and saying that the BJP's member of parliament is trying to treat democracy like a joke, stating that there are loopholes, they're trying to do this. This is something which is unacceptable and the BJP should rein him in. This is what the Congress has raised now.
Many thanks, Neetu, for joining us with all those details. With that, we head into a quick breather. Lots more lined up when we return. There's breaking news update awaiting you on the other side. We'll be right back.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Shifting focus to the big story of the day, an air ambulance carrying 7 people crashed in Jharkhand's Chatra district last evening. Now, the Beechcraft C-90 operated by Redbird Airways took off from Ranchi at around 7:11 p.m. but lost radar contact just 23 meters into the flight southeast of Varanasi. Now, on board were 2 pilots, a doctor, a paramedic, 2 attendants and a 41-year-old patient with severe burn injuries being flown to Delhi for his further advanced treatment. Now, search and rescue teams from the district administration reached the site while the AAIB has dispatched investigators. Now, the DGCA says further details will follow, but the crash has now raised urgent questions about safety protocols in the medical evaluation flights. Here are some of the reactions.
Actually, we got the information around 10 o'clock that one plane has crashed in our area, but we were not very much sure. So with the time we got the information from the villagers that accident has happened, and our team has rushed to the spot. And rushing the spot was a bit difficult, reason being considering the terrain, it's a quite difficult patch. Delhi team will come for the investigation purpose, and they will do the investigation and they will try to recover the black box, and they do their own work. And till that time, we have to protect this area, so we have deployed large number of forces over here, and we'll keep this PO protected. Total number of that 7.
ड्यू टू थंडर स्टॉर्म, तो जैसे हम लोगों को इन्फॉर्मेशन पता चला, हम लोग मेडिकल टीम के साथ जो है रश किए यहाँ पे, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली डॉक्टर्स का टीम इन्होंने फाउंड डेड डिक्लेयर किया, तो हम लोगों ने उनका बॉडीज को निकाल करके पोस्टमार्टम के लिए और फर्दर इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए भेजे। टोटल 7 लोग हैं,
इसमें क्रू मेंबर भी हैं और
टोटल 2 क्रू मेंबर्स हैं और बाकी 5 लोग जो है पेशेंट्स और पेशेंट के परिवार के लोग हैं। बाकी डिटेल्स जो है वो हम लोग खोजने के लिए जो है व्यवस्था कर रहे हैं।
कल अगर बात करें तो चतरा का ये कसियातू गांव के पास मौजूद जंगल है, जहां पर ये भीषण जो विमान हादसा है वो हुआ है। ये रेडबर्ड एयरवेज का जो एयर एम्बुलेंस है वो दिल्ली जा रहा था। बता दें कि संजय कुमार जो कि मरीज थे वो अपने जो 2 अटेंडेंट, जिसमें एक महिला भी थी और एक पुरुष के साथ साथ 2 क्रू मेंबर और साथ में एक मेडिकल स्टाफ और एक डॉक्टर थे, वो मौजूद थे। और ये विमान जब इस वक्त इस जंगल से के ऊपर से गुजर रहा था, उसी वक्त मौसम भी खराब था। उसी दरमियान जो ये विमान है वो अचानक से नीचे आने लगा, जो कि ग्रामीणों का भी कहना है, और उसके बाद एक तेज धमाके की आवाज होती है। पूरा जो विमान होता है वो यहीं पर आकर धराशायी हो जाता है। जिस तरह से छत विछत विमान है वो नजर आ रहा है, तो इससे अंदाजा यही लगाया जा सकता है कि ये हादसा जो है वो काफी भीषण है। तो पूरे मामले को लेकर अब जो है प्रशासन की टीम भी मौके पर मौजूद है। तमाम शवों को यहाँ से निकाला गया है। सभी शव जो हैं वो पोस्टमार्टम के लिए चतरा अस्पताल में भेजे गए हैं। फिलहाल अगर बात की जाए तो जो एसएसबी की टीम है वो पूरे क्षेत्र को कॉर्डन ऑफ कर चुकी है, ताकि कोई भी लोग जो है वो विमान के आसपास न जा सके, और पूरा इलाका जो है वो इसे कॉर्डन ऑफ किया गया। वहीं बता दें कि जो माचिस या फिर कोई भी ज्वलनशील पदार्थ जो है उसे जलाने की मनाही की।
Welcome back. We now return with news coming in from Karnataka. These are reports of a verbal spat between Karnataka leaders after Santosh Lat snapped at a Congress MLC Jakappa during the KDP meet. The BJP has now cited this one instance and has hit out at the Congress party, calling this meltdown anti-Dalit.
All right, for more on this, we have Rohini Swami live with us. Thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us, Rohini?
Well, this entire Dalit controversy or this talk around the Dalits has been on for some time now, where we've seen Union Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy also making statements saying that the Congress government and Siddaramaiah specifically are anti-Dalit. Now, this also specifically with this incident, here Jakappa was trying to speak at an event, at a meeting, which is the government meeting of the KDP meeting that is being held by Santosh Lat, who is also the Labour Minister. And while he was speaking, he said that Dalits are not being given. I'm trying to voice the concerns of the Dalits. Dalits are not being given a voice, to which Santosh Lat got quite furious, and he said, do not speak like that. The argument ensued, and when this argument went out of hand, that's when you can hear Santosh Lat saying, you may leave this meeting if you want to. And that's the entire issue is now being read and said that the Congress is anti-Dalit, is not letting a Dalit leader like Chakappa speak up, especially when he's voicing the concerns of the community. Now, let me tell you this quickly on a macro level, tell you that this entire debate about Dalits and how they're the backbone of Karnataka's, especially the politics here, and also the backbone of Karnataka itself. That also has been battered in terms of a lot of leaders saying that a Dalit person should be made a chief minister. Right now, they have a chief minister, that is Siddaramaiah, but he's also an Ahinda leader. But at the same time, a Dalit leader also should be looked, and it's only the Congress who can give a Dalit leader in the future. The BJP and the JDS, now they're NDA allies as well, they're attacking the Congress saying, what are you talking about when you're actually insulting leaders of your own kind and your own elected MLCs as well in public spaces, especially in such kind of meetings. So clearly here, what we are actually seeing is a new issue that is snowballing. On one hand, you have this entire debate on Dalits, on a Dalit chief minister taking the post. And if you remember, Satish Jarkioli, also known to be a strong Dalit leader from Karnataka, minister from the Siddaramaiah cabinet, also went and met the Congress High Command. And when he came back, also he said the issues have been resolved. Now, why I'm bringing this into picture is also because he himself had put his hat in the ring saying, who does not want to be a chief minister? Yesterday, Home Minister Dr. Parameshwara, who also belongs to the Dalit community, also said that a chief minister from a Dalit community is necessary. H.C. Mahadevappa, another close aide of Siddaramaiah, also saying so, also a Dalit leader. So clearly, this whole Dalit thing is not just a verbal spat, but a macro issue that is brewing in Karnataka.
Yeah, and expect this issue to grow further, especially given with the leadership tussle and speculations, the buzz around it that's been unending for the longest time now. Thank you so much, Rohini, for that. That's all for now. We head into a very quick break. We'll be right back in just a bit.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Shifting focus to the big story of the day, an air ambulance carrying 7 people crashed in Jharkhand's Chatra district last evening. Now, the Beechcraft C-90 operated by Redbird Airways took off from Ranchi at around 7:11 p.m. but lost radar contact just 23 liters into the flight southeast of Varanasi. Now, on board were 2 pilots, a doctor, a paramedic, 2 attendants and a 41-year-old patient with severe burn injuries being flown to Delhi for his further advanced treatment. Now, search and rescue teams from the district administration reached the site while the AAIB has dispatched investigators. Now, the DGCA says further details will follow, but the crash has now raised urgent questions about safety protocols in the medical evaluation flights. Here are some of the reactions.
Actually, we got the information around 10 o'clock that one plane has crashed in our area, but we were not very much sure. So with the time we got the information from the villagers that accident has happened, and our team has rushed to the spot. And rushing the spot was a bit difficult, reason being considering the terrain, it's a quite difficult patch. Delhi team will come for the investigation purpose, and they will do the investigation and they will try to recover the black box and they do their own work. And till that time, we have to protect this area, so we have deployed large number of forces over here, and we'll keep this PO protected. Total number of that 7.
Due to thunderstorm, तो जैसे हम लोगों को इन्फॉर्मेशन पता चला, हम लोग मेडिकल टीम के साथ जो है रश किए यहाँ पे, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली डॉक्टर्स का टीम इन्होंने फाउंड डेड डिक्लेयर किया, तो हम लोगों ने उनका बॉडीज को निकाल करके पोस्टमार्टम के लिए और फर्दर इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए भेजे. टोटल 7 लोग हैं.
इसमें क्रू मेंबर भी हैं?
टोटल 2 क्रू मेंबर्स हैं और बाकी 5 लोग जो है पेशेंट्स और पेशेंट के परिवार के लोग.
Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Hem Korsaro and here's a look at what we're tracking for you right now. Let's get started. Air ambulance flying from Ranchi to Delhi crashes in Jharkhand. After takeoff, 7 including 2 crew members were on board. Prime Minister Modi begins two-day Israel trip set to address Knesset and visit Jerusalem Innovation Center amid global uncertainty and Trump's tariff flip-flops. Rahul Gandhi accuses Prime Minister Modi of surrendering India's interest to the United States after his blistering criticism of Congress's shirtless protest at the AI summit. Congress seeks 45 seats in Tamil Nadu alliance talks with the DMK, stakes claim to 15 seats, says it can better defeat BJP. Power sharing talks after seat deal finalized. Significant political churn in Tamil Nadu on Jayalalitha's birth anniversary. Expelled ADMK leader V.K. Sasikala to float new party today. Plans to contest 40 seats in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu sees 70 lakh voters drop. DMK accuses the centre of manipulation. Joins Kerala in alleging misuse of agencies and disenfranchisement. 3 Arunachali women allegedly abused by neighbour in Delhi. FIR lodged but no arrest yet. Meghalaya Chief Minister voices anguish in an exclusive interview with CNN News 18. HAL denies Tejas crash reports, terms it a minor ground incident as the Indian Air Force grounds entire fleet for comprehensive safety and technical checks. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to embark on a two-day visit to Israel from the 25th of February in what leaders on both sides are calling a historic moment. During this trip, Prime Minister Modi will become the first Indian Prime Minister to address the Israeli Parliament, the Knesset. His itinerary also includes a visit to Jerusalem's Innovation Center and Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has described the visit as a rejection of the deepening strategic and technological ties between the two nations. The timing is crucial, coming amid heightened tensions in West Asia and global uncertainty, over US President Donald Trump's shifting stance on tariffs and Iran. All eyes will be on Prime Minister's speech at the Knesset, seen as a strong signal of India's role in the region.
The Prime Minister will address the Parliament, and this will be the first ever such address by an Indian Prime Minister to the Knesset. The PM is due to be welcomed at the courtyard right here at 4:30 p.m. local time, which would be 8 p.m. Indian time. He'll be received here by Prime Minister Netanyahu and his wife and by the Speaker of the Knesset, Amir Ohana, and his partner. Following on from that, the PM will sign a guest book and then we will have the usual group photo. About 5 p.m., which would be 8:30 p.m. Indian time, a special meeting in honor of the Indian Prime Minister will begin within the Knesset. And the meeting will be addressed by the Speaker, then by Mr. Netanyahu, and by the leader of the opposition, then Yair Lapid, before the Indian Prime Minister addresses the Knesset. We certainly can expect a very warm reception politically for the Prime Minister within the Israeli Parliament, and that reception is expected from all sides within. There are no divisions really between the government and the opposition on close relations with India. India does seem always the flavor of the season in Israel, whatever the season.
Prime Minister Modi to be coming to Yad Vashem. He will be accompanied by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as Yad Vashem Chairman Danny Dayan. He will be visiting the Book of Names, which is a monumental installation which includes the names of close to 5 million of the Jews who were murdered during the Holocaust. You can see their names, their individual details about where some of them were born and where they died. It restores the individual identities of the victims so they were not lost to history. After that, Prime Minister Modi will be taking part in a memorial ceremony here in the Hall of Remembrance behind me. And during that ceremony, he will be lighting, rekindling the eternal flame and laying a wreath, a memorial wreath, on a slab where beneath the stone slab there are ashes of some of the Holocaust victims that were taken from concentration camps. A visit to Yad Vashem means a lot to Israelis, to Jews around the world. It means a lot to draw a connection, and for the Prime Minister come and identify and learn and hear the stories and see what it is that we do here from Yad Vashem, that definitely does mean a lot.
How is Israel seeing the upcoming visit of the Indian Prime Minister?
I think Israel is very excited. We all know that India is a great friend of Israel. Of course, a massive country, 1.45 billion people. So we're very excited to enhance that relationship and to welcome Mr. Modi into Israel.
You know, there is some reporting that we've seen of late suggesting that India and Israel are stepping up their defense relationship to a whole new level with joint innovation, engineering and production. Do you see that as promising?
Absolutely. There's a whole lot of potential to be uncovered there for sure. We already know that there's a lot of stuff in the works that hopefully will get announced during Modi's visit. We also know a bunch regarding cooperation on AI and stuff like that, technology of the future. I think both countries are major players in that field, so it makes natural sense for the cooperation to take place.
All right. So as you know, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called this visit a reflection of the deepening ties between the two nations. Let's talk about the crucial arms connect between India and Israel. What does Israel supply to India? We're looking at unmanned aerial vehicles, Heron, used for long endurance surveillance. The Searcher MK2, which is used for real-time data gathering. And then there is the Harop loitering munition that acts as a cruise missile. Hermes 900 manufactured in India via joint venture. Missile and Air Defense Systems Barak 8 jointly developed surface-to-air missile, and the Spider, which uses Python 5 and Derby missile system. Rampage and Crystal Maze air-to-surface precision-guided missiles, as well as the Spice 2000 precision-guided bombs used in 2019 strike. Sensors and radars, Falcon AWACS, eyes in the skies, what they're called, mounted on the IL-76 aircraft, the ELM-2032 fire control radars in Tejas fighter jets. We're also looking at the Green Pine radar systems, which are used for ballistic missile defense. That is the arms connect that we are looking at between the two nations. Now, Israeli Ambassador Reuven Azar spoke to CNN News 18 over the Prime Minister's visit. Israeli envoy has said that Prime Minister Modi's visit will further boost the defense cooperation on top of what I've already told you. Several agreements are to be signed. Take a look at this one.
How do you see Prime Minister Narendra Modi visit to Israel after 9 years and first time after 7th of October 2023?
Niraj, we are really thrilled to see Prime Minister Modi coming to Israel. We are going to welcome him at the highest level, and we are very happy that he's coming. The people of Israel loves India, and the fact that the Prime Minister has decided to come is a great honor for us. We've been lining up, all our ministers. They've been coming to India in the last year, 7 of them, including the foreign minister, that prepared together with Minister Jai Shankar, that also came to Israel in December, a work plan for 2026. As you know, Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu have a very good bond. They speak to each other every few weeks, and they have a very clear view of the geopolitical challenges we face, and therefore we are elevating this relationship to a special strategic partnership in which we are going to cooperate more intensively in the industrial defense sector. We're going to add new layers, new verticals to our relations, like in the infrastructure sector, in the financial sector, in emerging technologies. This is really thrilling to us, and we are so happy it's finally happening.
Your Prime Minister has described India as a global power. What expectations does Israel have from Prime Minister Narendra Modi visit?
Indeed, India is the fastest growing world power today. It's the 4th economy in the world. It's going to be probably next year the 3rd economy in the world. And for Israel, it's very important, both in terms of chains of supply and also in terms of scalability. Israel is a small country. We have sometimes great startups. So they are very small. Sometimes they are too expensive. We have to adapt that to the global markets. And India has a lot of things to give in return in terms of the scale in which it can expand the technology in creating competitiveness in world markets. So we complement each other when it comes to creating competitiveness. And we're looking forward to work more, both in the defense sector and also in the civilian sector.
How do you see defense and security cooperation evolving between the two countries following Prime Minister visit to Israel?
I am viewing more government-to-government cooperation to give solutions to urgent needs. And I also see more and more companies coming together to create joint ventures. And I see these joint ventures developing things that are far more advanced than the things we've been producing so far.
It will support Make in India, Made in India initiative of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Yes, we of course support this. We support this initiative. I think that we have a lot of things that we have to work on. We will have to work on following this visit in order to implement. We are signing a very long list of agreements, and a few weeks after the Prime Minister's visit, we will enhance our negotiations to sign a free trade agreement, and we're going to make sure that we bring the right players to implement the agreements that we have signed.
All right, and yesterday, President Draupadi Murmu honored Rajagopalachari, India's first Indian Governor General. This was by unveiling his bust at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, replacing the bust of Edwin Lutyens, following which politics has now erupted. UBT Sena has said future generations of India would only know of Vimal Hasmukh Patel architectural legacy because I am certain whatever is left of Lutyens' design history will be broken down, redesigned or repurposed under the narrative of ridding ourselves of our colonial history. PDP too waded into the row, saying how does it help India to continue with this warped, misplaced sense of anger towards its history, this constant obsession of wiping off the colonial hangover. Meanwhile, Congress MP Shashi Tharoor says he's truly pleased to see Rajaji honoured by a statue at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. So this is the latest that we're seeing right now. President Draupadi Murmu honoured India's first Indian Governor General by unveiling his bust at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. We are now seeing the political war of words that's broken out after this was done, where many are saying that this is perhaps an attempt at wiping off our colonial hangover. In fact, they have waded into the controversy, saying that what is this? How does it help India to continue with this warped, misplaced sense of anger towards its history, this constant obsession of wiping off the colonial hangover? Remember, this bust was replacing the bust of Edwin Lutyens, following which politics has now erupted. Now, Congress MP Shashi Tharoor has said that he is truly pleased to see Rajaji honoured by a statue of Rashtrapati Bhavan. On the other hand, we're seeing how UBT Sena has said that future generations of India will only know of Vimal Hasmukh Patel architectural legacy because whatever is left of Lutyens' design will be broken down, redesigned and repurposed under the narrative of ridding ourselves of our colonial history. So to which the PDP too has waded into the row, saying that it does not in fact help India by removing its colonial past, and has called it misplaced anger towards our history, which of course some could contend that this is indeed a colonial hangover and this is a reclaim by India as well, where Congress MP Shashi Tharoor says that he is truly pleased to see Rajaji being honoured by a statue at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Remember, this is the statue of Edwin Lutyens, which has been replaced, the bust that we're talking about here. And New Delhi's British architect, of course, architecture which is being replaced now, to which the UBT Sena has contended that all that Indian future generations are going to know of is a different sort of legacy. Let's listen into some of the reactions that have come in also.
Today, a statue of Lutyens, a British architect, was removed and it was replaced with that of Rajaji, C. Rajgopalachari, a close aide of Mahatma Gandhi, a great son of India, freedom fighter. But the ecosystem is opposing this. They call themselves progressive liberals. World over, the progressives celebrate that the symbols of colonialism are being done away with. But in India, they want the symbols of colonialism and gulami to persist. But if we celebrate our own legacy, our own culture, our own civilizational heritage, then they have a problem with it. They hate India so much that they are willing to even adopt British and Mughal and their symbols, but they hate the symbols of Atmanirbhar Bharat. These people, they continue to live in a colonial gulami mindset.
Now, of course, there's a larger conversation here on what this move really represents. Remember, this is an announcement was made during the 131st episode of Prime Minister Modi's monthly radio program, which is Man Ki Baat. It drew immediate attention for this particular move that was announced. He said on that show as well that today the country is leaving behind the symbols of slavery and has begun to value symbols related to Indian culture. Now, for more on this, we have Pallavi Ghosh live with us. Pallavi, thank you so much for joining me. Now, as Prime Minister Modi had said during Man Ki Baat as well, that we are slowly doing away with these symbols of slavery and giving more value, much due value to the symbols related to Indian culture. This is also not a practice which is exclusive to India. We've seen this across the United Kingdom as well. This is a reclamation. What really appears to be the issue here then?
So him, the hallmark of this government and something which the Prime Minister focuses on is that we have to overcome the colonial mindset. There are many symbols and practices which epitomize what colonialism is all about, what the British rule was all about. And since there is an Indian culture and an Indian identity, that is something which needs to be reasserted. For example, the remaking of the new Parliament building, every nuance over there, Hebe, is something which reflects Indian culture and ethos. Kartavya Path, that's where the India Gate loan has been renamed. The Seva Seat, that's the Prime Minister's office. All of this is a symbol and example of how the government is focusing on overcoming the colonial mindset. So unveiling of the statue of Rajgopalachari, who is the first Governor General of independent India, in place of Edwin Lutyens, who was, of course, as we know, a replica of the British Empire or colonialism, essentially shows this overcome or overthrowing the colonial mindset. And that is what many opposition parties seem to be having an objection to. Now, Shashi Tharoor, as always, is making a different voice. And over here, he welcomes the installation of Rajgopalachari's statue. Right. And he says he himself has been inspired by him.
Right. Also joining us right now, C.R. Kesavan, grandson of Rajaji. Thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. Now, this move really, it's more a conversation about what it represents, isn't it?
Good morning to you and your viewers. First, we'd like to thank Honorable President Draupadi Murmuji, who unveiled the bus sculpture in the Rashtrapati Bhavan yesterday, and also Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji for his very poignant message, which was read out when the Rajaji Utsav celebrations happened there. I think it's very important for a younger generation because now they are being aware of who were the people who really were, fought selflessly for a freedom movement and who contributed, for the independence of India. Because in the past Congress regimes, the focus was only on one family, and I would say this with much thought that great heroes and heroines of a freedom movement were deliberately sidelined by erstwhile Congress governments. And I'll just give you one example. The community, the contribution, the enormous contribution of the tribal community to the freedom movement was completely sidelined. It was Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji who ensured Bhagwan Birsa Munda ji's birth anniversary was celebrated as Janjatiya Gaurav Divas. And please, everybody should know that Prime Minister Modi ji was the first Prime Minister to visit the birthplace of Bhagwan Birsa Munda ji. And take the case of Ambedkar ji, the Panch Teeth, his life is made into centers of pilgrimage, places associated with his life, the way in which Sardar Patel ji has been given his due, and more importantly, Netaji Bose and the INA army, selfless people who fought abroad for India's independence. And I think, Prime Minister Modi ji is not just dismantling the Macaulay mindset, he is ensuring that the colonial vestiges which were celebrated during the Congress regime, the symbols of slavery, is totally being taken out. And in that place, the contributions of Indians rooted in Indian culture who gave up their lives, who gave up their today so that we could have a better tomorrow, they are being honored. So I think Prime Minister Modi ji is it's a historical correction. It's a course correction by Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, where he's rightfully restored the respect and legacies of these great freedom fighters and patriots, and he's honoring them. And I think the younger generation is now very aware of who really contributed for the nation and our freedom movement.
Absolutely, and of course the political war is broken out as it often does. We are seeing that some are contending that this is some sort of misplaced anger towards our colonial history, but I would contend, why wouldn't there be this anger? And of course, when we talk about these symbols of slavery which are slowly being done away with, what do you think appears to be the issue here?
The Congress party and its allies are being completely exposed before the nation and the younger generation today, because the first question people would ask is, why did the Congress party fail to honor Ambedkar ji? Why did they fail to honor Netaji Bose? Why did not they honor Birsa Munda ji? Why the focus was only on one family? And that is the issue which is troubling them and irking them. And people know that. And that is the reason why they're being repeatedly rejected by the people of India. But let us look at it in the most positive way. We are marching towards the Viksit Bharat, and Prime Minister is, talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat and self-reliance. And I want to say this as a person from Rajaji's family. It's an interesting anecdote. I mean, Prime Minister Rajaji would have been very happy in the way in which Prime Minister is ushering in a self-reliant India. In 1948, when Rajaji was the Governor General staying in Rashtrapati Bhavan, India was facing a food shortage crisis. And Rajaji symbolically converted a 9-hole golf course in the Rashtrapati Bhavan into an agricultural field. And he cultivated wheat, and he himself plowed the land. And for 10 years after that, President Rajendra Prasad ji continued the tradition. So that is what Prime Minister Modi ji is emulating today. But, by ushering in an Atmanirbhar self-reliant India, as India becomes a developed nation by 2047. So we thank Prime Minister Modi ji for his great efforts in first, making sure that the history and the people who are wrong, that their legacies are being restored. And also, he's ushering in a new path of a self-reliant India, which would make the architects of our constitution and our great heroes and heroines of our freedom movement very proud. So we thank Prime Minister Modi ji for his initiatives.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that anecdote with us as well. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast with your insights on this as well. So remember, viewers, once again, let me take you through this entire row that is now seems to have erupted. Yesterday, President Draupadi Murmu had honored Rajagopalachari, India's first Governor General, by unveiling his bust at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Now, this particular bust replaced the bust of Edwin Lutyens, following which politics has now erupted, with the UBT Sena, which says that future generations of India are only going to know of Bimal Hasmukh Patel's architectural legacy, because I'm certain whatever is left of Lutyens will slowly be wiped away, redesigned or repurposed under the narrative. This is what Sena UBT says, under this narrative of ridding ourselves of our colonial history. And in this, the PDP too has waded into this entire row, saying, how does it help India to continue with this warped, misplaced sense of anger towards its history, this constant obsession of wiping off the colonial hangover? Meanwhile, the Congress MP Shashi Tharoor said that he's truly pleased with this decision, as were many others. With that, we're going to slip into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. News and updates will continue on the other side. All right, pardon me, we're getting in some more breaking information right now as well. Karnataka Contractors Association President R. Manjunath has alleged that 30% of the state's elected representatives are corrupt. Speaking at a press conference, he has said that there is a pending payment of 37,000 crore rupees to contractors across the state, and has also urged the government to release this money, criticizing the Congress government and Chief Minister Siddaramaiah for not resolving the issue of payments of dues to the Contractors Association despite several meetings. So this is the latest in the corruption row that we've been tracking for you. So Karnataka Contractors Association President R. Manjunath has alleged that 30% of the state's elected representatives are corrupt. This was him speaking at a press conference. He said that there is a pending payment of 37,000 crore rupees. Let's listen into what he said exactly as well.
ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದೇನು ನಾವು ಬೇರೆ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಯವ್ರು ಸಂತೋಷ ಪಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇನಿಲ್ಲ. 3 ಪಾರ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲೂ ಸಹ ಸುಮಾರು 224 ಜನದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 30 to 40% MLAಗಳು ಇದೇ ಥರ ಪೂಜೆ ನೆಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಣ ವಸೂಲು ಮಾಡೋವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮಾನ್ಯ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ನಮಗೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಕೂರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಚಾರ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೂ ನಾವು ತಯಾರಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಒಂದೊಂದು ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಇಬ್ಬರು ಸಿಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಈ ಥರ. ಸರ್ ಅದು ನೀವು ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾನೀಗ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಈ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ ಆ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ ಅಂತಂದೇಳಿ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಲ್ಲ, ಮನೆ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಕರೆದುಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಮೀಟಿಂಗು, ನಾವು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ತಯಾರಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಹಣ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ವಿಚಾರವಾಗಿ ನಾವು 30, 40, 60 ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ. ಹಿಂದೆ ಕೆಂಪಣ್ಣವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಮಗೆ ಭಾಳ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟರ್ಗಳಿಗೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವು 1.5 ಲಕ್ಷ ಜನ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟರ್ಗಳು ನಮ್ಮ ಹಿಂದಿರೋದು. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ಗಳೇ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಥರ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟರ್ಗಳು, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಸಣ್ಣ ಮತ್ತು ಮಧ್ಯಮ ವರ್ಗದ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟರ್ಗಳನ್ನ ದೃಷ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು